Morning guys, this is Chilla with BestClip007 and I'm on my way to the gym. But before the gym, I wanted to record this video for you to finish my adventure video. It's a good subject. I always wanted to make that since my channel is about health, fitness and adventure. But I never had time to talk about the adventure part, so this time I thought I'd dedicate a whole video to just talking about adventure. Today at the gym is my glute focus leg day. And I also will add a little bit of chest and biceps because tomorrow I would like to sleep in. I think I did a little too much today again, not generally lately, and I fell behind with sleep more and more, and I really need to have a day off of working out and an extra day off because usually I take Sundays at least off. However, last Sunday we were hiking, so even when I have a rest day, a little hike, no problem at all. If it's we want to summit and we want to make it hike, boy, then for the next 2 days, I really have a hard time working out. So adventure is fun, too much adventure. This is the whole reason why I'm making this video. The question is, why do we work out? How much do we have to work out? How much can we just have fun? And will that keep us in shape? You know, all these questions. Have you ever had these questions? I always had these questions. I don't know about you, but I always had these questions. You know, people usually have questions about, okay, how much is it the nutrition part and how much is the exercise part that helps you to be in shape? That's like the most common question. Now, for that question, I would say probably somewhere around 70-30 or 80-20 even in the favor of eating, nutrition. If you eat well, you're good, you're set. You work out a little bit and you at least won't be overweight. Now, how lean you want to be, how muscular you want to be, now that's a totally new question, right? Now, my question today in this video series is, if you're just having fun, if you go on adventures, if you hike, bike ride, rollerblade, fish, walk, like I'm gonna walk right now, will that be enough? Will that keep you in shape? Have you ever wondered about that? I always did. I always thought this is a huge question, especially in my 20s when I stopped competing in track. That was one of the reasons I stopped competing in track, by the way, because my track coach got upset every time I played tennis with my friends, or I went and did, I don't know, like maybe a hike, not as much, more like certain sports that were, he said, oh, it will injure me or it will make me slower. And I always thought, how strange is that? Like, that's what I want to do. That's the only thing I want to do. I just want to keep having fun. So, and going on adventures. So for me, right off the bat, I thought, oh, that's strange. That's off. I actually just want to do that. And that was part of the reason why I stopped competing. Because I thought, actually, instead of just working out and training for like hours a day, I just want to go and have fun for hours a day. So in my 20s, no problem. Just from having fun. Now, having fun for me meant playing sports all day. That's why I became a PE teacher. I just wanted to play games all day. That's for me fun. You know, for some people it's reading a book all day. I read plenty. It's not that I don't read books, but or playing video games. I just can't sit on the couch that long. Even though I think playing video games is fun. I just played with my son last night and we were laughing so hard. I so suck at video games. I don't know what to do. So my kids once in a while are like, Mom, we want to watch you play video games. They put me by the controller and they watch see how bad I am. But anyway, let's go back to my subject, the adventure. So for me, fun is going outside specifically, but put my hands on any kind of sports, any kind of active things that I can do. Now that's fun for me, that's adventure for me. And that's what I have done, partly because I didn't want to compete anymore, because I didn't want to just work out. I thought it was pointless. You know, when you're 20 and you're super hot and you're like, oh, well, not that I was super hot, but I was in perfect shape. Mostly because I was training in track. So everything changed when I stopped training, you know. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna have adventure. However, once I figured out that I had to eat a little less and I had to stay active and I wanted to be active anyway, then everything balanced out and then I could just literally have fun. So that's what I did. I was very active. I rollerblading. I remember we studied for a test till midnight in college, and then in Budapest, beautiful river, the Danube River, and then several bridges going across the Danube River. We just put our rollerblades on at like midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we loud music, and boom, we went rollerblading for an hour, sometimes even alone, you know. Back then it was a little different. I don't know if it's a good idea to do it now. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was pretty safe. It was pretty safe actually to like hitchhike down to Italy. I hitchhiked down to Italy from Hungary, so that was a little different. Adventures were, I think, a little bit more safe than now, but that's a totally different subject again. So in my 20s, I could actually just be in shape from having adventure. I didn't have to work out. And I had several years when I didn't work out at all whatsoever. I actually didn't want to work out. When I was competing in track, we worked out so much and trained so much and competed so much that I didn't want that lifestyle anymore. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to play tennis with my friends, and I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. I went to the other extreme. For me, unfortunately, adventure also included partying. So unfortunately, I was a party girl. But I also realized it lately. I think I was a party girl because I love to dance. So lately I dance after the gym. Gym is just so strict, and you can't dance, and you can't sing, and you can't wear the clothes you want to wear. So for me, I'm just like, ah. So when I'm done with my gym sessions, by that time the music is pumping, my body's pumping, and I dance a little bit. And recently I realized, wow, actually I feel like I'm in the clubs. I don't go to the clubs at all. I don't even drink. I used to drink quite a bit because party lifestyle, that's the problem. Party lifestyle comes with all of those negative effects, and I got all the negative effects, trust me. Thanks God I survived those years. So when I was dancing, I thought, I feel like I'm in the clubs. So I think a lot of people do go to the clubs because they want to dance, and a lot of them, they go there because they want to drink, socialize. That's great. But for me, the best part of partying was to dance quite a bit. And then every time we went partying, we always ended up, my crowd, you know, my friends, and then different people. And 25 years ago in Europe, so I'm saying it's changed a lot. We always ended up going and jumping in a lake or a river, or play a volleyball game at midnight, or going to hike at 2 o'clock in the morning, as I said, rollerblading. Great memories I had. If I wouldn't have drank, the drinking kind of wore on me. If I wouldn't have drank, I think that would have been the funnest part of my life. Now, I think it's right now. I have the most fun right now because finally I have the right balance between working out and having fun. Also, I'm older now, so I don't push it as much, and I think that's actually healthy. When you're young, you think you're invincible and you can do anything, and that's a hormonal created feeling that is necessary for finding your mate and having kids and all this. So that's an adventure by itself. But later on in life, I think you realize that a little less fun, a little less adventure it's more at the end. A little less is more, and a little less adventure is just enough. Now, if you're an adventure junkie and that's your whole life about, and that's your lifestyle, and that's how you make money, good for you. I hope one day I could have an adventure channel and I can show you all the adventures we go on with my family. And today I will definitely show you quite a bit of adventure we have done in the last couple of months this summer, just to give you an idea of what I think adventure is for me. It's a steeper way and a steeper way, but Lexi, are you okay? the original question was, can you just have fun and be in shape just from that, just from adventuring? In my 20s, I could, no problem. Hitchhiking to Italy, I was planning calories I burned there, just like worrying on the interstate if I'm gonna be okay or not, or very really heavy was sneaking into the campground. I remember snacking, carrying our big bags. You know, that was plenty. We were in shape, no problem. Plus, we hardly had any money to spend on, like, we didn't go to restaurants and we didn't eat fancy foods and stuff like that. So, anyway, I better start to walk a little. It's almost a little cold this morning. Surprised. So, once you get a little older, about 30 or 40, definitely working out will be a big part of your life, even if you go on hikes and adventures, and that's normal. And even in your 20s, I recommend, even for teens. I have a teenager, 13-year-old. I keep telling him, I'm like, hey, let's start a gym. So he will start to go to the gym with me, because I think that's how you will develop healthy habits. Doesn't mean he has to pump for the next like 2-3 years morning. He doesn't have to really pump and gain, and his body, he's just growing into his body. So I don't say that a 13-year-old has to be in the gym every day, but even at 13, it's very important to, in my opinion, is to start to figure out your workout routine. It's never too early. And then, you know, if you end up to having weeks or months or years when you're not working out when you're younger, but you're staying active, having adventures, wow, that's like super fun. That's basically, doesn't get too much more fun. That's what I have done. I had so much fun. But as I said, I almost have more fun now because I have the right combination of the two. I work out, I'm in shape, I am really healthy, I really love my life, and I do lots of adventures, more spaced out. It's not like all day without a break and never-ending adventures, because it takes a lot of energy also. It takes energy and time and money to go on those adventures. Probably my kids would like it, even though not the hiking part. They would just go on different adventures every day, and I support that. As I said, one day I will have an adventure channel when I'm there, and then I'm just gonna go around having adventures. So I'm all about that, but in a smart way. Do it in a smart way. And at this point, I cannot imagine not working out, even if I'm hiking every day, like even if I am bike riding every day, because I like to have a balanced body. And even if you are a bike rider, you know, I right away would go, ooh, but how about my upper body? How am I going to keep that in shape? So, or if I am I don't know, some sport with like upper body, what would that be? I don't know. Where are those? For example, the pole dancer girl who I interviewed a few months back, she was telling me about how pole fitness is such a popular thing. And I said, well, what are the downfalls of it? And she said, well, we don't do a lot with our legs. And I thought, oh my gosh, you're right. You're holding yourself up on the pole with your upper body. You definitely need to do lower body exercises, or maybe more hikes. That's more of a leg exercise. But I used to think that I just will have adventures and I will go on hikes, and I did go on hikes even when I didn't feel like it. Even once I had my kids, and it should have been super fun to go outside with the kids, sometimes I ruined the whole outing because I wanted to turn the adventure to a workout. And that's the problem. That's why I recommend to balance it out with working out, lose the weight you want to lose, be in shape, and then go out, have an adventure to balance the two out. Good morning.
It looks like we're going up there somewhere. This is the boys. This one's littler and cuter.
I'm dying. I'm dying.
In 96 degrees, yo.
96 degrees. By the way.
Of regularities, living all the dreams, playing all the games.
Here we are. It's a very hot hike, and my kids are not happy with me, and I understand, because they didn't want to come on a hike like this in 96 degree weather. And I probably wouldn't recommend, for the most part, that people do a hike like this in 96 degree weather unless they're just the kind of people that love hot desert hikes and they have lots of water.
But we are here.
So there's Lexi and Chilla. They made it up to where we are. We could have gone further, but it wasn't the day to go further, according to our kids. The lizard on Levi's shoe.
Nope.
Oh, gone now.
No, he's right there. Still there. He's just...
We're invincible. We're invincible.
Don't turn your adventures to a workout. Don't pressure yourself about it. If that's the reason why you have to hike every day, or why you have to ride your bike every day because you want to be in shape, but it's becoming like a chore, then the fun of it, that it won't be fun anymore. So if that's the case, it's better to get your workout in and then have fun with your kids outside in the mountains. That's what I have done. Finally, once I started to work out regularly, then I didn't have to tell my kids, I have to summit no matter what. And if we don't summit, we will all die. Because I felt like I didn't get my workout in. Now, I get my workout in, and then we go on an adventure. And if it's a challenging one, even better. I get an extra workout to get even more lean and get even more tone and have a different body. Good morning. And have a different body stimulation, because that gives you a different workout. It's still a workout, right? A hike, but it gives you a different workout. So, where am I? Let me catch myself again. Different workout. So don't turn your adventures to workouts. Yeah, so basically that is what I wanted to say, is that in my opinion, the best balance you get out of working out regularly, get a good routine. As I said, with my 13-year-old, we will get in a routine, he will learn how to work out, and then he can play any sports, and he can go on adventures as often as he wants to. I recommend that. What else would be the best for a 13-year-old boy than going on adventures, playing sports, staying active? Now also you can balance it if you play soccer or football, or if you really, now if you're a competing athlete, that's your priority, right? Then you will end up like me when your coach, and your coach will tell you that, oh no, you can't go on a hike because you can twist your ankle, right, before a meet or a competition, or it will slow you down, you know, if you're a swimmer, you have to be very careful with your shoulders, and they will say don't do this, don't do that. So, but it's worth it, right? At the end, if you want to be a competing athlete, and you have to really take good care of your body, you can't slack on things. And the good part of that is that when I was competing, there's no way I could drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or partying until the morning, because I had to be accountable. When you live on adventure, it's easier it's easier to slip, it's easier to pile fun on top of fun. So that's why I push my 13-year-old to working out with me, get a schedule, learn healthy habits. We are already very healthy eaters. He's in great shape, you know, he does sports, he does jiu-jitsu, and he was a swimmer before, so he knows his body. He's really athletic, but he needs the discipline part of it. So if you can stay disciplined with having adventures and not overdo it and injure yourself, very important. Doesn't matter if you're 20 or 50, but it gets more and more important when you get older. My husband is 49 now. He was about 45 when he went to a gymnastics coach, and he said, teach me how to do a backflip. And the gymnastics coach was like, well, why would you want to do that? My husband was like, what do you mean? Like, it's super fun and so cool. I want to know how to do a backflip. And the gymnastics coach said, well, you know what? You have a healthy back and you have a working body. Why would you want to do that? At first we thought it was strange. We were like, well, just teach us how to do a backflip. And then we slapped on it and we woke up and we thought, he's so right. No, I don't have anything against backflips. My son is doing backflips like daily. He just learned how to do a double backflip on the trampoline. It's wonderful. In the right time, in the right place, for the right body, go for it. But if you overdo it, if you push yourself too far with adventures, with fun, a little less is more. I really believe that. Sure, accidents happen no matter what. I could be in my car walking here on the sidewalk, but a little less is more. And when you are rested, when you are, let's say, when you're rested, when you're well fed, when your muscles are ready for a challenge, not just for the sake of I have to do this again. It's the same with working out. I see a lot of women overdoing, especially cardio. They go on a run and they go on the treadmill, and I feel like, oh, did you recover from the workout yesterday? So it's very important to find the right balance with the workouts and with having adventures, because if you overdo it, you will actually just do more damage. And that's why that's why the best change came in my life when I finally got on a regular workout routine. So my adventures really became adventures instead of looking for a workout and being frustrated and pushing my whole family and my husband. I'm like, hey, we need to do another hike, and we need to go on a bike ride, and we need to go to the swim in the pool, because I just needed to work out. And then I just destroyed my workout and I destroyed my adventures. So it's a very important thing to find the right balance between working out and having adventures. Now, as I said, when you are younger, it's a little easier to stay in shape, lose weight just from adventuring. You saw my video about walking. For me, walking is a total adventure. Every day when I come out, not every day I walk, but every time I come out and walk, I always run into some adventures, run into somebody, or a bird nest falls out of a tree, or it's so windy that I just get topsy-turvy from just the wind. So I highly recommend to look for adventures, to basically leave your house. Are there adventures inside? 100%. But I think if the weather is good, and even if it's not, if you just put your shoes in and leave your house, whether it be going for a walk or a run or up to the mountains or to a lake or to the ocean, wherever you live, you will find those adventures. The adventures are waiting for you. So let me talk a little bit about what kind of adventures are waiting for you and where the adventures are and how you can find the adventures. Because first I talked about how much adventure is good for you. Can you stay in shape just from having adventures? So I think I explained that very well. Now I want to talk a little bit about where to find the adventures. So adventures are everywhere. My kids are playing video games. As I said, I'm not against video games, but I do limit the video games. Not even like, oh, every day this and this much, that much, or this day you can work. Now Saturdays they do chores, quite a bit of chores. They do literally 3 hours of chores because we homeschool, we work from home, we use our home so much that unless we really team up, we're not going to be able to clean that for the whole week without having everybody putting their share in. So Saturday, plenty chores until our house is clean, and then they can play video games while I do laundry and a couple other things. They actually help with the laundry as well, but that's just a little help there. So they have plenty hours of video games on Saturdays, and then Sundays I don't want anybody to play video games. I need one day of the day when I have my kids, when I don't lose them to the video games or the devices. Now the rest of the week, this video is not about that, but the rest of the week they can use it for creation. I call it if you create, because I used to tell them you can use them for educational reasons, but then everything became educational. 5 minutes craft became educational for them, because as long as they were not playing video games, they thought they were creating. By watching 5 minutes craft, my 7-year-old girl loves 5 minutes craft for like 2 hours. I'm like, you're just entertained. That's not educational. You're not creating anything. You're just watching a compilation of fun stuff, and that will not inspire you after a while, because you get so much information in that it cannot be inspirational anymore. It just becomes entertainment. So they have to create if they have their device, because that's the habit that I would like them to pick up on, is to create. And then sure, they can still play video games. As I said, I don't have any problem with video games. It's more like at one point you have to put the devices down, and I want them to not necessarily just only go outside, but go on an adventure, even if it's inside. To find an adventure, it's hard to find an adventure inside. Harder, not hard. A lot of people find their adventures in their backyard or in their living room. We a lot of times hang a hammock or 2 or 3 in our living room, and plenty of adventures there. But I want my kids sometimes to, like yesterday at noon, they had a little bit of, they didn't play video games, they did the creative screen time. And at noon I said, okay, that's it. No device for the rest of the day. Oh, Mom, what are we gonna do? They had so much fun yesterday afternoon because they were outside. They had to figure things out. They made a big mess. I have to admit that, but they will help me to clean up, and they already did clean up some of it. But they actually did go on adventures, mini adventures, ventured out, and they got some tools out and some materials, and they built forts, and they walked around, and that's where your adventure starts, in my opinion, when you get off your couch. That's number one. And put the devices down. The devices take a lot of time. I love my device. I record with my device. I check Facebook. I post on Instagram. I watch a movie sometimes. But more and more I try to put the device down and have adventures, because I think with the device coming into our life, I lost a lot of time that I used to use for adventures, because I'm checking emails or checking Facebook or all things that actually are not necessary to do on a daily basis. So the adventure starts in your home. Hang a hammock in your living room. Then in your backyard, go catch a garter snake or kick the ball to the fence or have a basketball hoop. We have all of those. We almost got a ping pong table in our living room this winter, but I'm already looking at ping pong tables again. So, but we have the little basketball hoop and the small trampoline, and that's how it starts. And then from your backyard, it goes to your neighborhood. That's how I started the walks. And actually, before I even regularly start to walk in the morning or in the afternoon, my husband is the adventure expert. He actually should have been an adventure guide because he can turn anything to adventure. He can find adventure. That's my specialty. That's probably my biggest skill of my husband. No, he has many talents and skills, but he can smell adventure and he can find it, and he has the patience to wait it out. It's kind of a patience game of like, oh, should we gonna hike, or should we just start to walk, or swim, or sure, you know, people say, oh, you're pretty spoiled. Now that doesn't happen all often, but everybody has a little downtime, you know. When you have your downtime, that's when you want to nip the adventure in the bud instead of sitting on the couch and checking something for 2-3 hours. In that 2-3 hours, you can have so much that can happen to you if you just go on an adventure. So we used to just leave our house and start to walk. So in a 3 to 5 mile radius, my family, including my kids, we know the neighborhood. We know everything, in every direction. And in every direction, we found a special spot. So we used to do even more of that. Not as much lately, as we go on a bigger adventures, because now that we mapped our neighborhood, we still, if we have only a half hour, an hour, we know exactly which direction we can go to go to a place what we really treasure, that is special, and have an adventure there. But now that's the next one, your neighborhood. You have to map your neighborhood. My best advice is just start to walk in any direction, in every direction, with your kids, with your family, or just alone with your dog, and map it up and have an adventure there. You will find so many things, and you will run into so many challenges and problems and good things and bad things. Just that's what's called adventure. Something different than from your Facebook, from your couch. You know, that's the whole point. And then once you have done that, then you start to look at your state and your country and say, okay, do we have a mountain? Do we have ocean? Do we have lakes? You say, oh, you have mountain, you live in Colorado. Well, you have something too. I bet you everything that you have just as many resources, just as many fun stuff where you live than I have here. Is it maybe different, totally different environment and different people, different culture, different landscapes? No, I don't have any doubt about that. As I said, you know, when I went to college in Budapest, sure, I could have looked out more, but as a college kid, you know, I didn't have a car back then. I rollerbladed across those 7 bridges, or how many ever bridges are in Budapest, across the Danube River. That's what I had. I had a pair of rollerblades. Funnest memories ever. How did you catch it? Tell me.
Well,
With Levi's little thing.
Levi used it, and it was coming in a bed, and I just pulled the stick up.
And the fish was at the end?
Yes. But I caught it. Oh yeah. They keep eating my worm.
Did you catch one too, Levi?
I caught. Yeah.
Kyle, there's
Hello,
Kyle.
my children.
And he's got a fish on that line right there.
Fishy.
And then there's Levi.
Here's a muddy
He's
one.
got a fish right there.
The thing poked through its eyes, but it went swimming away.
Oh.
didn't poke its eye in the way that it poked its eye out, right?
No, it poked its.
You're on video, Lexi.
I have mosquitoes all over me.
What do you have to say, Mr. New Haircut? Who cut your hair? There's mosquito man. Now, if you want to branch out more, then you look further. Here in Colorado, it's super easy to find the hikes, find the river, find the lakes. So I'm sure that in some cases that's easier, in some cases that's harder. In my case, it's not too challenging, and we take advantage of that. That's one of the reasons why we live in Colorado. So you can pick your state, you can pick where you live also, even though I recommend to stay very close to your mom, because once you have kids, you will really miss your mom. I will make another video about that, because I have a lot to say about that, because I left my country when I was 23 and never returned. So be careful. If you leave your country, you might never return. Sure, I have been there visiting a lot of times. It's just I never really lived there for a long time after that. Ooh, this sun is very, very strong. I don't even know how to position the camera for you to even see me. Okay, so then you look for the bigger adventures. So I will show you here a couple bigger adventures we have done. We didn't go too far this summer because we were supposed to go to Europe, visit my family. That didn't happen. Don't even start me on that. It's okay. It will happen one year. It's a shame because it was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, so that would have been a good adventure. That was an adventure we saved up for and looked forward to all summer, so that's why we didn't go to a different state or on a big hike or on a big backpacking trip. We didn't do anything because we stayed low. But even though we stayed low, we still snuck a couple of adventures in that were super fun and were super good for our family. So I will show you the videos from those. One is the Black Canyon. Black Canyon National Park is literally 20 minutes from my door. But I never liked it. I always said, oh, lame. You know, once you go to the Grand Canyon National Park, everything seems lame after. Every kind of canyon just seems like a little sister or nephew to the Grand Canyon. So this time, my husband, it's always my husband, adventure supervisor, stepped in there when I said, let's go to the Black Canyon. We haven't been there for a while. Let's see. Maybe we'll find some adventure there. And then he said, well, why don't we skip the little trails that we normally do and the loops. But it's a beautiful loop, by the way, because it has oak trees, an oak forest. It's really rare to find it here in Colorado. In Europe, no problem, we have oak forests a lot, but specifically here where we live, it's a really unique sight to be able to walk around in an oak forest. Sorry about the sun. Now the sun is, now I'm still walking, so let me stop here for a minute. So my husband said, no, you know what, let's just skip the regular trails and go hike down all the way to the bottom of the canyon. I'm like, can we even do that? So we went up to the rangers there and we're like, okay, we want to hike down to the bottom. They're like, well, you need a permit. We're like, but do you still have a permit for today? So they only give out 15 permits a day, and luckily we still could buy a permit to walk down. And then they looked at our kids, they were like, are you sure you want to do that? We're like, oh, is that hard? It was very hard. We're like, how long is it? They said, oh, it's just a mile. We're like, a mile down? And that's the big deal. They were like, well, it's a mile with 1,000 feet elevation drop. We're like, okay, well, that's 1,000 feet elevation gain coming back. We're good hikers. Woohoo! That was such a good adventure. That was such a good challenge for all of us. We will remember that forever. So I made a little video, a few minutes video out of that adventure for you to see. And that's 20 minutes out of our home, 20 minutes from our door, and we live here forever and we never done it. So trust me, you still find adventures in your neighborhood, in your country, in your state, that you would have never expected. The other hike we did is also about an hour away from us. Yes, we are lucky. literally in an hour radius we can go anywhere. We can go to the Grand Mesa, the Telluride, Colorado. We can go to Utah. We can, not in an hour, but Utah is very close. Moab is close to us. Black Canyon National Park. One weekend last year we did cross-country skiing up on the mesa in like 5 feet of snow, and 1 week later we did a camping trip in like 70 degrees. Like that's when we felt like, oh my gosh, we will live in the best place in the world. So the western slope of Colorado, where we are, is really one of the best spots I have ever lived in and I have ever been, especially if you're looking for adventure, especially this spot where we are at, because in every direction you will find good mountain biking, good hiking, good skiing, good cross-country skiing, lakes, rivers. It's a good combination. So we love this spot. That's one of the reasons why we love this spot, because it's a small town, so it doesn't have a lot of exciting other stuff, but the outdoors, the great access, the easy access to the outdoors, unbeatable. So my other video I'm going to show you is about Mount Garfield. Totally different environment. It's a desert hike, and that's the first hike with our kids that we did not make them finish the hike. We always, if we start one, we somehow grind through it. Like a few years ago, let's see, my daughter is 7, she was 4. We did a 14 miles hike and we finished it. It was a lot of tears and a lot of talking through, a lot of life lessons learned, because I believe that throughout adventures you learn a lot of you learn a lot of life lessons. I also believe that young couples have come to me and they're, hey, what's the secret of your marriage? I'm like, well, I'm not an expert on that, but well, what could you tell us? Should I marry this guy or not? And I always tell these young people, hey, why don't you go save up money and travel for like a month or 2, travel for summer, and then you will know if you want to marry that person or not. Because traveling, or other obsession with my husband, we love to travel, it's all about adventuring, it's all about adventures. You will run into so many unexpected challenges, good and bad adventures, that you have to problem solve, that you have to patiently figure out, wait out, work out. Oh my gosh, traveling is the best adventure of all. Now, traveling doesn't count necessarily in the workout category. That's why you see, it depends what you do. If you're just traveling and looking at pretty sights, you better have a workout routine. Now, if you're traveling and you always look for adventures that you can incorporate, that are active, outdoorsy, physical activities, that's different. Like my brothers, we got together in the United States, just happened to be all 3 of us here, my 2 brothers and me, let's see, that was 20 years ago. And we wanted to see Las Vegas, so we stopped in Las Vegas. We were like, oh yeah, great. We had fun there for a day or 2. But then we headed to the Grand Canyon. So once we hit the Grand Canyon, we looked at the viewpoints, took the pictures, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty, yeah, it's kind of impressive, but we should go down to the bottom. It's the same as we did here 20 years later at the Black Canyon. My husband was like, let's go to the bottom, that's what I want to do. Like, hike down the canyon and hike back up the canyon. So at the Grand Canyon, we met the rangers with my brothers, and we were like, well, we want to hike down to the bottom. They were like, well, we don't have any permits left. We're like, oh, you need a permit? We didn't even know that. So they said, yes, we are. I'm like, well, what do we need the permit for exactly? And they said, well, because people hike down and then they camp there and then next day come up, so you need that camping permit and the permit just to make sure we know you're there. But we are out of the camping permits. And we were like, well, can we just hike down and hike back up? And they were like, yes, technically you can, but you don't want to do that. I'm like, oh, we are PE teachers, by the way, all my brothers and me. We are all PE teachers. So we are 3 of us, we're like, oh, we are European PE teachers, don't worry, we will be fine. So they were like, okay, go for it. And we went for it, totally unprepared. 2 days Vegas, then we hiking the Grand Canyon. So that was so challenging, so challenging. First of all, we didn't have enough water. You need like a enormous amount of water, and we didn't have enough water, but that wasn't the biggest problem. We could hike back down and up That wasn't still the biggest problem, that we were tired. We were very, very tired. It was a very, very long hike. Hours and hours long. We started at 5 o'clock and then the sun was coming up, and we get back like late in the evening. Like, it was an all-day hike. The problem was that there was a hailstorm that moved in, luckily on the way up, and the temperatures dropped drastically and the wind picked up. But it wasn't just a little wind. It wasn't just a little, oh, it got windy. The wind picked up. I mean, we were afraid that we will be blown off of the cliffs. And that later on, luckily we didn't know it before the hike, later on we heard that that's actually a very common thing that happens in the Grand Canyon, that people just either slip because they don't give attention, or the wind actually blows them off the cliff, so they fall off the cliffs, or they get hypothermia from the change of a storm moving in. So we get both. We get the storm moving in and we get the wind, and we literally we were in life danger. We had to tether each other together we had little ropes and we tethered each other to each other. I was in the middle, so if one of us if the wind really knocks one of us over, then the other two can bring the third one back, and so forth and so forth. And guess what? That memory is one of the best memories ever, with my two brothers hiking down the Grand Canyon and back. Oh, it almost tears me up because I miss my brothers, because I couldn't see them this summer. That was one of the best adventures. Was it a workout? Absolutely. So if you just drive around on the rim of the Grand Canyon or the Black Canyon and take pictures, how many calories do you use? Like 2 clicking. If you go on a little trail, a little loop, you know, they make these little loops, then you will use some energy. Now, if you say, okay, and I really wanna go to the heart of the adventure, that's gonna be a workout, no doubt about it. So for us, for my family, Sai and me, we always look for the heart of the adventure. We don't look for the viewpoints, we don't look for the little clicks, we don't look for the pictures and photos, even though finally we are starting to use videos and pictures, because we didn't before. We were like, let's leave the phone at home. But now I like to show people what we do on my videos, or have memories of it. So I don't have a lot of pictures and videos from a lot of like epic adventures, but finally I'm starting to pile them up, and that's what I'm showing to you. I show adventures from our backyard, through the neighborhood, from our walks when the kids walk with us, through Black Canyon hike, the Mount Garfield, also, as I said last Sunday, we went up to Telluride, Colorado. I'm going to show you that hike as well. It was just a Sunday rest hike, but it was barely a rest day for me because it was a 3 hours hike, and we covered a good elevation gauge, so we felt it. We felt it for Monday, Tuesday. My kids barely could stand up. Their legs were hurting so much. Now the Black Canyon hike, I did a leg day. It was my leg day, and then we didn't plan it. We just thought we will go look around in the Black Canyon a little bit. So I had a leg day, and then we did this hike. My 7-year-old did better on the way back than I did because my legs were just not cooperating. So that's when I overdid it. That was an overkill. I didn't plan it. It was just an accident. I wouldn't do a leg day and then go hike down the Grand Canyon. So you have to be smart. That's when I said I wouldn't overdo it. You have to know when you are ready, when your body is ready, when you're rested. You need to rest. And if you're an adventurer, I really recommend to go easy on alcohol and drugs and cigarettes and things like that. That's why I feel better now, even though I'm missing the dancing from the clubs and the midnight rollerbladings. I actually don't miss them because I have a footage of my rollerblading here and my bike riding. I don't have to do it at midnight anymore. Sure, it's like, woo, at midnight we're rollerblading. But for me, I actually don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, don't do drugs. I stay healthy. I get high hiking outside and soaking up the adventures and feel the adrenaline pumping when we run into some cool stuff or drama on our traveling. So we traveling is enough drama, is enough challenge for me, enough drug, enough to get you high if you regularly go on adventures. Now, do I recommend to work out along with the adventures? 100%. I think sooner the better. At age 13, 14, if you get on a workout routine, then your workouts are taken care of. You're not going to be overweight, so you can go on hikes. You are not going to be obsessed with going on hikes because you don't have to lose weight, because you are in good shape. You are going to be in good shape to live your life and have fun. If you ask me why do I work out because I'm going to be hot. Am I hot? I don't know. But I feel really good about myself. I have a very healthy self-image and body image. I stay strong. I stay as much lean as I can. I could get leaner, but I don't know if that's healthy. So sometimes I get a little leaner just to show my six-pack, and then I bulk up a little bit. If you ask my husband why he works out, he probably would say he works out to be able to have fun in life. And I love that about him. He doesn't work out. Sure, he doesn't want to be overweight and he wants to be in shape, but he cares less about his six-pack. He actually works out to stay in shape, to keep up with his kids and go on adventures. Because he's 49, so once you get older, you know, once you get about 30 or 40, you really have to make plans and make sure that you keep your body healthy, because when you're young, you abuse it. Sai and I, we both abuse their bodies plenty. I abuse it with like weight loss, continuous weight loss and weight gain. He did extreme stuff, like even extreme hikes and sports and stuff like that. So at one point you want to make it sure that you don't get injured, that you keep up with yourself and you stay healthy. It doesn't mean an accident can't happen, but you want to make it sure that if an accident happens, you say, I did everything I could to avoid that, right? I stayed in shape, I didn't do crazy stuff, and even if I did, I was very careful. So he would say he works out to be able to go and have fun and have adventures, and I love that about him. And I do too. I don't just work out to be hot. That's kind of like, I'm joking with you, but that's my main focus. I don't want to be overweight, and I want to look great. I'm a woman, so I'm a okay, so adventures, wonderful. If I get a little extra workout from an adventure, even better. But I don't look for a workout in adventures anymore, because then it kind of kills the spirit of the adventure. Adventures are about not always plan it. Sure, if you plan a good adventure and you want to hike Mount Everest and you train for it, great adventure, then you still have to train and you get the adventure part. So that's even fun too, to have a goal, have an aim, and then go for it and really adventure there. Oh, I better get going because I still have to get my workout in. I better hurry up with this video. I can't believe what a long videos I'm making. Sorry. Plus I'm showing you the video footage, so I'm gonna try to put the video footage under my talking a lot, so it's not gonna be an hour. Sorry about that, guys. I just can't shut up, it seems like. So I do both. I work out, take care of my body, then I go on adventures. If I get an extra workout, even better. If I get too much workout, like, trust me, on that day when I did the leg day and the Black Canyon, I did take a couple of days off. So you have to know when to stop and when to take a couple of days off as well, because you don't want to get injured. That's the opposite of adventure, and then you won't be able to go on adventures and break a bone and things like that, other extremes, and then adventure and the workout will stop for a while until you recover. So you don't want to waste time with that as well. Good morning. So I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. It was way too long. I'm gonna show you the footages from my adventures. I put together compilation of a few hikes and rollerblading and bike riding and mountain biking. And you say, oh, okay, you have to be rich to do those things. No, you don't. Like, if I can do it, then anyone can do it. Let's just leave it at that. So my bikes, sure, it's better to mountain bike with a $10,000 bike, but with a $30 bike you can survive too, especially if you know how to take care of your bike and how to give it a tune-up, because you most likely will have plenty to tune up after a nice mountain biking ride with a junky kind of bike. But I learned that lesson. I learned a lesson about that when we were skiing in Czech Republic, when I was probably starting to ski, and I was probably 10 years, a little more, maybe about 14 years old. And we were complaining in the Czech Republic on this really hidden mountain resort, a small resort with Czech people working there at the lifts. And we were complaining to them, like, oh, we don't have the right skis, or skis are so old and not that good. And I remember this guy who worked there, he grabbed this big shovel and he was like, oh, funny talk. And he stood on the shovel and he skied down on this shovel in the ski area. So I learned a lesson about cheap equipment. It's not about the equipment. Sure, it would be lovely to ski down on a mountain in the 2020, this year's 2020 model, in the model of the year top skis. But if you learn to ski on some old skis, you will be really, really good once you stand on the model of the year skis. So it's harder to go back. It's harder to start with the newest models, and then some financial situation change, and then you have to go down to like the junky skis. Now that's kind of devastating. It's easier to get used to the good thing than downgrade, so might as well not worry about it too much. That's my philosophy about the hiking boots and the bikes that you ride. Sure, if you compete or if you get good at it, if that's your sport, if that's your workout, that you're in triathlon, get a good bike, get a good coach. I'm all about that. So if you have the money, but if you don't, that shouldn't stop you, right? Triathlon, okay? Running, biking, and swimming. It shouldn't stop you. The number one thing is that you're doing it. A lot of people don't do that. I'm glad that I mentioned this here at the end. A lot of people don't do these things because they say, well, I don't have money for it. How can I go mountain biking and how can I go road biking when I don't have a road bike? Start with a more simple road bike and see if you even like it. I see this over and over again with people. They want to get into workouts and they get their little outfits and get the expensive membership, expensive training, and they don't do it. So that's why I say start in your living room with the hammocks hanging, start in your backyard with a trampoline, with a little push-ups, then and go from there and go from one adventure to the other and go from one workout to the other to get in shape, get lean, and have a happy and good life. Thanks for watching. Bye.
But not today, just stay. Just stay. Just stay. One more night.
Right now I'm feeling spiritual as hell. You see all around us here? This is spiritual as hell. Let's give a little view of the reservoir here.
So fragile, like it was built to break off the handle. How'd we get to this place?